There's a lot going on with the central bank digital currency right now. This is an update to tell you the latest on what's going on with the CBDC, or as it's known by some people, the Fed coin, the federal cryptocurrency, basically digital money that you're going to use instead of the dollars in your wallet. And yes, eventually this is going to be how you buy a coffee. And coming up in just a second, I'm going to give you the timeline of when you could expect to see digital currencies being used on the ground in the United States of America. And you may be wondering, when does this all start for you? Is this something that's going to happen in the next few months? And 10 years from now, when does this happen? The big problem, though, are all the numerous downsides to what cryptocurrencies allow for bad actors to take advantage. There are many negatives to a digital currency. In fact, you're going to see a few of these downsides play out among the 80 plus countries which are actively developing or launching their own cryptocurrencies right now. This channel is dedicated to your economic survival, and you certainly need this content right now more than ever. So let's get into the CBDC Plus. In this video, we've got a special 35-second long sneak peek into all the things I've been saying about gold, which we're putting together for an upcoming video. You're going to get to see that sneak peek in this video. Nothing we say is intended as personalized trading advice for you. And always remember that you can accomplish even more than you think you can. So as of March 2022, there were 9 countries and territories that had already launched CBDCs. You guys have heard about El Salvador going to Bitcoin for their official currency. El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender in September 2021. The initiative involved buying Bitcoin with public funds. And if you look at the time when they started buying Bitcoin, that's around here on the chart. That was at a time when Bitcoin was trading between $43,000 per Bitcoin, as much as $60,000 per Bitcoin. So no matter how you look at it, based on the price of Bitcoin today, which is just under $17,000, they have lost 60 to 70% of whatever money they've taken from the public and invested in Bitcoin. This may have been one of the most awful financial choices publicly made in front of the eyes of the world of all time. This is from the Atlantic Council, Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker. I want to show you this map. Here's the legend here. You can see, here's how many central bank digital currencies have been canceled. Ecuador and Senegal. Inactive, under research, under development, pilot programs, and launched. You can see the point is that everybody is doing digital currencies now. The world is going digital, and there's nothing that's going to stop this idea whose time has come. It will open up a ton of issues and moral hazards for people taking advantage of the power that central bank digital currencies will allow to people who may, at some point in the future, be very bad actors. And even right now, there are over 80 countries that right now actively have a digital currency plan being put together, or they're exploring how to launch their own digital currency. This is Money and Payments, the US Dollar in the Age of Digital Transformation. This is a document put together by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. And yes, I read this entire document, so thanks a lot for putting me through that. It was boring as you think. And there's about 40 pages. But certain things that I want to point out showed up and they stood out to me. I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Central bank money has no credit or liquidity risk. That is not accurate, but they keep on saying it. They're trying to protest too much, so to speak. Now remember, this is all what they are saying, the Federal Reserve, in the CBDC document. Cryptocurrencies remain subject to extreme price volatility, are difficult to use without service providers, and have severe limitations on transaction throughput. Many cryptocurrencies also come with a significant energy footprint and make consumers vulnerable to loss, theft, and fraud. A government could use a CBDC to collect taxes or make benefit payments directly to citizens. Additionally, a CBDC could potentially be programmed to, for example, deliver payments at certain times. The CBDC would offer the general public broad access to digital money that is free from credit risk and liquidity risk. There they go again, saying that again. They said that dozens of times in this one report. They're trying to tell you that it's got no credit risk, no liquidity risk. That is not true. The Federal Reserve is committed to ensuring the continued safety and availability of cash and is considering a CBDC as a means to expand safe payment options, not to reduce or replace them. That is the point. When I'm talking in this video about when we actually will start using the central bank digital currency, don't think of it as a replacement or a light switch. They'll just implement it into society and we'll start using it more and more over the years going forward. A CBDC could fundamentally change the structure of the U.S. financial system, altering the roles and responsibilities of the private sector and the central bank. So they're going to implement the CBDC, and now your roles and responsibilities are changing? This was their idea. Why do we have to change what we have to do? In addition, a central bank might limit the amount of CBDC an end user could hold. Could make runs on financial firms more likely and more severe. They're saying this. I'm not saying it. They're saying it. Traditional measures such as prudential supervision, government deposit insurance, and access to central bank liquidity may be insufficient to stave off large outflows of commercial bank deposits into CBDC in the event of financial panic. Allow me to say that if there's a financial panic, it doesn't matter if you're in a digital currency or not. Whatever money, however you use money, however you have money in the bank, you're going to take it out because you're in a financial panic. This will just happen to be the new iteration of a bank run. We'll do it digitally this time. This is from page 18. For example, the central bank could pay no interest on CBDC. A central bank could potentially address the risks by limiting the total amount of CBDC an end user could hold. Or it could limit the amount of CBDC an end user could accumulate over short periods. You see, they've already baked into this document. The point of the document was to try and reach out to the public and see what their feelings on it are. And in this document, they're clearly saying that they're thinking about already limiting how much you can use, cutting down your accounts, shutting down your accounts, limiting how much you can own, limiting how much you can collect over a certain time period. They're already getting into the evil side of all of this. They're already talking about it. The downsides to a digital currency are numerous and pretty awful. If you're a wannabe dictator, there's nothing better to do than to go fully digital and control that digital currency. That's what every dictator worth their salt should be doing. But if there's a digital currency, they can freeze or cancel your currency units. But Peter, you might say, can't they already cancel or freeze my bank account? Yes, they can. But the point is that with a digital currency, they'll be able to do it a lot more effectively, a lot more efficiently, a lot more aggressively, a lot more quickly. Compared to the system we have now to, for example, freeze your bank account, they can freeze more bank accounts with less effort, more quickly, and it will be decidedly more efficient. They can even target certain interest groups based on your buying habits. Now let me ask you a question. Does the government make mistakes? I have proof that they do frequently, but I can't even speculate on all the scenarios that the digital currency will allow for bad actors to overstep their purview. There are unlimited ways to embezzle money, control populations, spy on people, harm certain interest groups, threaten people, or worse. But you might say, Peter, aren't there safeguards that protect us against all of this? Yes. And isn't that what safeguards are supposed to be? Yes. But let's at least get some common ground here. Let's agree that there will be some people now and in the future, maybe people who aren't even out of grade school yet, are going to become politicians and they'll make bad decisions when they find it's in their best interest. The point is that the digital currency sets up a structure or a system that we can agree that there will at least be some people who will try. There's plenty of things with safeguards, plenty of laws and regulations that people break when they're committing a crime. The digital currency will allow more financial destruction for less effort than anything we're dealing with now. It's going to be all controlled by one choke point, which is the Federal Reserve, acting on the behest of the politicians in charge, doing whatever they tell them to do. The point is, with digital currency, there's so many different things they could do that you cannot possibly protect yourselves from all of this. There will be a lot of bad players who will do a lot of bad things and hurt a lot more people more efficiently. But the government will also be able to overstep their bounds. Say, for example, you have some disputed or unpaid taxes. You go to the store to try and buy something and they shut you down. Or if you have a speeding ticket in a certain state, maybe you can't buy gum and cigarettes in that state until you pay the speeding ticket. You've heard of bailouts. GM is not functioning well enough to survive, so they're too big to fail, so we'll give them a bunch of money. That's a bailout, and that was your tax dollars. But then there's bail-ins, and the digital currency makes bail-ins way more simple and quicker. A bail-in is when they say, we have to take some money out of your account because of whatever reason we've made up. We saw bail-ins recently in Cyprus a few years back, but bail-ins are a much more vile cousin to bailouts. You could see a bail-in or you could see negative interest rates, and there's nothing you can do. The digital currency will allow them to make these decisions and implement them before you have time to talk about all your objections to it. They can watch all your transactions and go back and see what you've transacted in previously. They can see what kind of political donations you've made, to what parties, and then they can take action that's not in your best interest. I'm not saying that anyone's going to do this anytime soon, but I'm saying if you set up the system now, that's the mistake. It's like when you buy a stock. You make or lose your money when you buy the stock, not when you sell it. When you make that first purchase decision. The problem with the digital currency is when they implement the system, it sets up a situation where going forward in the future, we better be pretty vigilant because any bad actor can have a much greater footprint and damage more people more quickly and more efficiently because of all the tools that the digital currency will allow us. And you might be wondering, when are we actually going to start using this digital currency for real? When are you going to go and buy a coffee with your phone? Well, I know you can do that now already, but I'm saying with the CBDC. Well, let me veer from USA to China for a second. China is expecting to have their digital yuan, or their central bank currency, fully functional and in use in 2023. So how does that compare to what we're talking about here in America? Understand, I do not know, but this is my guess that it will be as soonest 2024. At latest, I bet we'll be up and running by about 2026. You will have the option of paying with the central bank digital currency. You will have that increasingly foisted upon you, slowly, incrementally, where they'll be pulling money out of the system through the banks. You'll deposit $50 in the bank, and that'll just convert into central bank digital currency. It'll show up in your account that way. And it's all about what the government tells the banks to do. People have been asleep at the wheel with precious metals for so long that the certain result is going to be a great awakening. We're starting to see the beginnings of that awakening. In one of the recent videos, there's a great comment beneath that when I said gold's going to finally do what I've expected it to do for a long time now. Someone asked, what are you expecting gold to do? And I thought, here's a better way to show you. I'll show you exactly word for word what I said, and I'm going to speed it up so it doesn't take very much time at all. Once it gets going, and this is what's happening, it's just starting to wake up a bit, and as it gets going from this point, it will go up a lot higher for a long time and start doing some of the things that I've been expecting for a couple of years now. And it's just slow because it's waking up, and once it gets going, it'll go, and that's going to be very rewarding for anybody who's invested in gold mining stocks or anything related to the price of gold or silver. This is my point. The entire world global economic system is shifting right beneath our feet, and how you react to it is going to make such a difference for you. After a long time of being unloved, gold is finally starting to wake up. And you're seeing this possibly caused by the rampant buying that China is doing in preparation for their new reserve world currency that's backed by gold. And as the dollar comes down, what is going to spike? Gold, oil prices, all precious metals will spike in value.